The AI Governance Copilot lets you ask plain English question about your Salesforce org and get structured, actionable answers in seconds. In this video, we'll focus on its simulation capability, where the Copilot doesn't just answer your question, it runs a real-time impact analysis against your org's metadata graph before it responds. We'll walk through 7 scenarios using our connected test org. Each one triggers a different kind of simulation or analysis, so you can see the full range of what the Copilot can do. Let's start. Click AI Copilot in the menu bar. The chat interface loads. Scope to the connected test org. Every simulation and answer you get here is running against that org's actual metadata, not a demo environment, not a generic template. Let's go through each scenario one by one. Let's say I want to ask about what would be impact of a field in this connected test org. In this example, I am asking about a custom field created on opportunity object. So let's hit the ask button. The Copilot picks up the dot notation field reference and the delete intent and immediately runs the simulation, a BFS traversal of the dependency graph starting from that field. When the response comes, it consists of 4 sections. There would be a summary that tells you in plain English what would break. The impact simulation panel shows a risk score. Let's say 58 is the confidence level, and now you can see like on the response it has the intent, the automation on process, and then the summary. It tells you that deleting this field in the connected org carries a high risk, 86 out of 100, and directly impacts 12 components across Apex, validation rule, and formula fields. The field is referenced in at least 2 Apex classes, confirmed by the body scan, drives a formula field that will produce a compile error on deletion and cause a validation rule to break. A cascading dependency graph extends the blast radius to 10 Apex classes and triggers at depth 1 and 2, meaning deletion without coordinated remediation will cause immediate compilation failures and runtime error across opportunity, account, case, and lead processing logic. So deleting this field is actually marked as a high risk. These are the detected issues. You can open one by one, and it will take you to the location, and then you can figure out more what to do with this particular scenario. So this is your baseline deletion scenario. Keep this response in mind. The next few scenarios use the same field but produce completely different result. So instead of deleting this field, I want to change its type from number to text. So let me put in the question in plain English to AI governance, so that a person who is not technical can also use Agent IQ and get the results. So the question, what happens if I change the type of opportunity.deal confidence from number to text in the connected test org? Let's see what response we get for this. Again, same field, but it's a very different simulation. Changing the type doesn't remove any metadata, but it breaks everything that expects a number. As a response to this, it says it has a medium confidence, and changing the opportunity deal confidence from number to text in connected test org is again a high risk operation with 12 directly impacted component. The type change will immediately cause a compile error on the formula field opportunity.expected revenue and breaks the validation rule opportunity dot competitor required underscore low confidence. And 10 apex class and triggers reference this field spanning two dependency depth and must all be updated in a coordinated single deployment to avoid partial breakage. This change should not proceed to production without first being validated in a full copy sandbox with all related apex testing. Again, the simulation um, section, it's an expandable section. So if I click on this, it will tell me more detail, that how many components, what depth, and what is breaking, and what would need a review. So it also gives you top recommendation, like what you need to do in order to go forward with the intended change. Now let's say if we go with another simulation of making a field on an object required. So what does that simulation, or what would be the impact of making one field required on a particular object? Let's write this question. So I have a field called engagement score on contact. So I am going to ask AGNIQ that what would be impact of making this field required in the connected test org. It's a different field now, but your team wants to make annual revenue like required on the contact. So this is the only scenario where the risk isn't about your removing, it's about what already exists in your org. As you see, making contact engagement score is a required field on the connected test org carries a low overall risk, but there is one confirmed code level dependency that must be addressed. First, the Apex class health score calculator directly references this field. No automation was detected to use contact object that references this field. The primary concern is ensuring health score calculator handles the fields required constraint correctly, and that all existing contact records have a non-null value for the engagement score before the change is deployed. In next scenario, your team wants to retire an old Apex class that was replaced by a new implementation. So in the chat with the Copilot, we're gonna ask that what happens if I delete the Apex class opportunity service in the connected test org. Now this shift us from data risk to code graph risk entirely. In this search, there would be no data loss, but and no flow failures. The entire risk is a compile error cascade. So the Copilot traces the dependency chain, other classes that calls methods on this class, and test classes that mark it, and any triggers that invoke it. All of them will fail to compile the moment this class is deleted. So as the agent IQ response, it says deleting the Apex class in the connected test org will cause compilation failure across 8 dependent Apex classes. 4 direct dependents: account service, health score calculator, notification service, and opportunity trigger handler call opportunity service directly and will immediately break. 4 additional depth 2 dependents are account trigger handler, case escalation service, case trigger handler, and lead scoring engine. They are transitively affected through those in the depth 1 classes. So all 8 classes must be updated and deployed atomically before or alongside the deletion to prevent partial breakage in the org. Opening up the impact simulation section. So here it says what like D1 is depth 1 and D2 is depth 2, and each of those, and the top recommendation is basically to update all the 8 classes that are getting impacted with this deletion. In the next scenario, we're going to delete a custom object. For this demo, I've created an object called object delete demo in the connected test org, and I'm going to ask the Copilot What is the impact of deleting the object delete demo in the connected test org, and hit the proceed button. So now this will be again the highest risk of any question we asked today and the longest impacted component list. So when you delete a custom object, you're not just removing one thing, you're removing every field on it, every lookup relationship from other object pointing to it, every report and dashboard that queries it, every Apex class that reference it, every flow that creates or reads records from it, and every API integration that posts it. The Copilot surfaces all of this as a structured list. Group by impact type, you likely see the risk score in the high 80s, and uh, the governance risk will flag data loss for every record currently stored in this. Since Salesforce permanently deletes all records when a custom object is removed, so before you ever do this in production, the Copilot's top recommendation will be to export all data, identify and update all external integration, deprecate all dependent metadata in a lower environment first, and stage the deletion across a full release cycle, not a hot fix. And as you can see, this is what it has detected and responded to as a response to your question. So our final scenario is different from all other. No simulation, no change being considered, just a direct governance question, which is which profile in the connected test org have access to sensitive fields on the contact object. So once you proceed with this question, the Copilot detects this not as a code change or a data loss situation, it's more of a governance audit, and the response shapes is completely different in this case. In the response, you will get a structured breakdown of every profile with field level access to sensitive contact field, if any exist, things like social security, date of birth, or any fields your org has classified as sensitive. In the last scan, each entry shows the profile name, access level granted, read or read write, and a risk classification. Governance risk here will flag anything that looks overly broad. For example, in if a marketing user profile has read-write access to contact.ssn, this field should be restricted to HR admin and system admin only. This is the kind of answer that used to require exporting permission set, building a spreadsheet, and cross-reference manually. Here it's just one question. So you can see that contact PII classified field, um, but there are no like field. So the query executed against the connected org was designed to identify automation components accessing PII classified field on the contact object, but returned no result. That means critically the query plan used was the automation touch sensitive template, which is misaligned with the governance question asked. Profile level field access requires a different query targeting field permissions and profile level security, not automation node. As a result, no meaningful answer about the profile access to sensitive contact fields can be derived from this data. That means we have to run another scan and get the information about the sensitive information and then ask the question again. But we have identified that there are some PII classified fields and there are some field permissions which are assigned through profile, and we have some profile field level security in this org. You might have noticed that throughout all the questions that we asked today, there was a thing which was consistent across all the 7 types of responses, which is basically a confidence badge. So the breakdown shows 4 subscores: query certainty, metadata coverage, graph completeness, and dependency graph. So all of these different metrics determines whether the response, like what is the confidence level in the response. Higher the number means the scan has exactly all the information that it needs to determine whether this change is a high risk, low risk, medium risk, but the confidence will tell you that how accurate that response is. So if that number is low, that means some data has not been retrieved, some metadata has not been retrieved from your org that is needed to answer that particular question. Now let's recap what we covered. We covered a field deletion showing compile errors, a field type change to surface any data integrity and formula breakage, a required field enforcement flagging existing blank records and integration failure. We did an apex class deletion tracing a compile error cascade. We also did a custom object deletion showing the full blast radius across your entire org, and we also did a profile access audit delivering a complete compliance ready permission breakdown. No simulation, no change required. So each scenario produces a different risk profile, a different set of governance risk, and a different set of recommendations. Because the copilot isn't returning a template, it's analyzing your connected org specifically. In the next training video, we'll cover how to export these results and share them with your change advisory board directly from the platform. And thanks for watching.